When you ask wrestling fans to name their favorite video games, I'm sure two games come to mind: WCW NWO Revenge and WWF No Mercy, both released on the Nintendo 64 developed by Aki. The games were known for their deep roster, fun arcade gameplay, and multiple customization options. The last few years, people have been asking for a wrestling video game that captures the same energy as those N64 titles, as many seem to have grown fatigue of the WWE 2K series with its simulation gameplay. In 2019, an alternative to the WWE arrived in form of All Elite Wrestling that has since become the de facto #2 wrestling company, with many executives and wrestlers having expressed interest in a game that captures the spirit of No Mercy and Revenge. That interest became a reality as in late 2020 it was announced that AEW was making a console game that was essentially a spiritual successor to those N64 titles, with the help of former WWE developer Yuke's and Geta-san, the original director of both Revenge and No Mercy. After almost 3 years of development, AEW Fight Forever was released in June of 2023, and so far it seems that the title can be misleading. It was going smooth in the first month, but quickly took a sharp decline to the point many people said it was the point of no return. Now, what happened? How did a game that had a budget of over $10 million, experienced developers, and dedication by several wrestlers become a game that has now seemed to have little to no fan base, and the decisions post-launch may have been the final nails in the coffin? As of this recording, it's December of 2023, and in this video, I'll be breaking down the good, the bad, and the in-between of the near 6 months since the game's launch, and see how a game that took years of development and dedication got squashed before it reached its potential. So sit back and relax as I talk about AEW Fight Forever 6 months later. If you haven't played the N64 wrestling games, the gameplay is what to expect from other wrestling games. You can grab and strike your opponents, which can make various movesets depending on the direction of the analog stick. The main objective is to build momentum by performing various moves. If your meter is high enough, you can perform your signature and finishers. The 50+ roster features the big names that you see weekly on TV, like Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Britt Baker, and so on. Each of them feature various skills and buffs that makes them different from each other. Some skills can give your wrestler additional moves, such as Springboard and Desperation Impulse, while passive skills change the wrestler's behavior and performance during a match, such as Elite Defense and Submission Specialist. The game featured various match types, from the common single and tag team matches, to special matches like the ladder match and the exploding barbed wire death match that was shown at AEW Revolution back in 2021. One of the big features in the game is how the environments interact with the wrestlers. For example, if you are performing a suplex on your opponent toward the barricades would have a chance to fall over, which could cause some unpredictability and major damage. Speaking of unpredictable, the game features various weapons to use, from the steel chair to even a football helmet. The main campaign in Fight Forever is called Road to Elite, where a wrestler receives a call from AEW President Tony Khan to be part of the AEW roster. You get to take your wrestler to over a year of programming in AEW that have branching paths depending on if you win or lose. You take the character through 4 blocks, each containing 3 weeks of television of Dynamite and ending with a pay-per-view. You could also do various activities that could give your wrestler experience to boost stats, and currency to help them get stronger and transfer to other modes outside of Road to Elite, so you could get a chance to purchase new items such as creation parts, alternate attires, and additional wrestlers. If you are looking to take a break from beating each other up, you can play a couple of quick minigames such as collecting poker chips, answering trivia questions, and even a home run derby. Basically Mario Party, just without the board game. Of course, it isn't a wrestling game without the creation suite, as Fight Forever gives you the ability to create wrestlers, arenas, and teams. As well, during entrances, you can do various things such as changing camera angles, pyro, and screen effects for the few seconds you have for the entrance. A few weeks after launch, Fight Forever added a new online mode called Stadium Stampede, which is basically their version of the Battle Royale, where you and 29 other players look to be the last one standing in a massive football stadium. As more get eliminated, the smaller the space gets, so it adds more to the thrill of being the last one standing. So if you're a fan of Fortnite or Warzone, this mode is definitely for you. Now, issues Fight Forever has, and for the last 6 months, seem to have not been fixed, despite a couple of post-launch updates. During the gameplay, it can get wonky in some aspects. For example, trying to pick up a weapon on the floor, it is mapped with the same button as turning your opponent and can be tedious and can take some practice. During multi-man matches and even facing an opponent one-on-one, the AI is, for a lack of a better phrase, stupid. In some of the matches, the AI would occasionally struggle to do basic moves, like trying to get inside the ring or even try to break a pin. Even some cases it would look frozen in place, it's pretty glitched out or just have some weird issues. Of course, it isn't a wrestling game without some clipping and collision detection issues. On some occasions during a match, I would experience some sudden lag or brief freezes, even while playing offline. I mean, especially in the Casino Battle Royale, I kinda get anxious if the game would crash on me with the occasional drop in frame rate. And don't get me started on the referees. When it comes to regular matches or multi-man, the ref takes forever to make the count. But when it comes to matches where they don't appear, like the barbed wire death match, it counts as fast as Sonic the Hedgehog. Road to Elite sounds cool on paper, but execution-wise, it's very repetitive. You work out, you eat, you do some appearances, then your match, with a couple of storylines sprinkled in. Especially when doing a couple of playthroughs, I was already tired of deciding whether to join the Inner Circle or try to beat Paul White in under 3 minutes, as most of the playthrough takes about 1 or 2 hours. Ideally, I would recommend playing with a created wrestler in this mode so that you could build its stats, and it has more of a challenge. Speaking of created wrestlers, this leads to me, in my personal opinion, the game's biggest issue. It's very, very limited. Create a wrestler, limited. Create an arena, limited. Match types, limited. Even the roster is limited. Now, over 50 wrestlers is a solid number, but there are some notable omissions, such as Jamie Hayter, Daniel Garcia, and even Evil Uno. You know, the guy who helped promote the game during live streams? You would think he'd be in the game too, right? For a game called Fight Forever, you would think there'd be more stuff to do with post-launch content like Stadium Stampede, but as of this video, AEW, Ukes, and THQ have been pretty quiet. Like, why can't I do something as simple as make a 4-way ladder match in Exhibition, but it's doable in Road to Elite? Of course, there is DLC for this game, as the Season Pass was released to include new wrestlers such as Danhausen, Hook, FTR, The Bunny, and Keith Lee. Later in November, they released the second Season Pass that contains The Acclaimed, Tony Storm, the new updated Dynamite stage, and a mode called Beat the Elite, where you face 10 different wrestlers followed by one of the members of the Elite. Completing this mode will win you additional creation parts such as new textures and colors. So after 6 months since release, can this game indeed fight forever? In its current state, absolutely not. Even though I was enjoying the game as someone who played the N64 and GameCube titles, and this is the closest we would get to a remaster, nostalgia can go so far. The gameplay is solid, but I feel it isn't enough to justify a $60 price tag. It can get fun for about an hour, but that's basically it. You're better off waiting for this title to get a big discount. It is surreal that a wrestling game in 2023 can have bare bones content such as the Creation Suite, which I feel helps a game keep going. I mean, look at what happened to WWE 2K19 and how that game was able to get support for a long time. I feel that if AEW and Ukes wants this game to succeed, they're gonna have to step up in providing support for this game with some new content. There should be a balance in terms of releasing it. You could have some for free in future updates, and some as part of the Season Pass to make it worth the value of its price tag, especially when they announce a Bring the Boom edition which contains all of the DLC for $90 US. That is insane. I feel that Beat the Elite should have been a free update like Stadium Stampede. I mean, imagine having to pay $7 for a glorified arcade mode. Seems like they have to make up for the massive budget they spent on this game. All in all, don't be surprised if this game doesn't get talked about when it hits the 1-year mark. I could see AEW instead make a sequel to the game instead of releasing new content, which is a shame because Fight Forever has so much potential to be the alternative to the WWE 2K series. But I feel it's not ready for the main event. It'll likely just stay in the mid-card, and it won't be reaching for that brass ring anytime soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with others to see. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos as well. We will see in June 2024 if this game is still alive. But until then, thanks for watching and have a good one.